bring them in.
Greetings, Damon, Barone, Alief ISD, parent, taxpayer, and alumnus. First of all, I want to thank you for listening to our concerns and hosting a meeting, town hall meeting on Saturday, August 20th. That meeting is at 4250 Cook at the administration building, so thank you for making those adjustments. I do have a question on the August 8th meeting. The gentleman stated that that you all were going to be meeting with the school board on August 23rd to provide them the feedback that you received from us. I looked on the website, I saw the Saturday meeting on the board's calendar. I don't see the August 23rd meeting on there. What time is that? Is that open to the public?
I don't know what time it is, but it will be posted in next 72 hours.
The board meeting is scheduled for August 30th.
August 30th.
No, they mentioned that they were going to be presenting to the board on August 23rd.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I have it here too on my calendar. It should go off 23rd. So it's got to be posted at least 3 days in advance. So I don't have that posted, and I don't know if all of it will be in public or executive session. I don't know yet, but that should happen.
All right, so can you repeat your question for me again, please?
What are your hopes and aspirations?
All right, hopes and aspirations. Last year, Superintendent H.D. Chambers stated that he and his administrators had not been monitoring data because they had been focused on graduation rates. And subsequently, we have 33% of our elementary schools are in TEA improvement required status. So my hopes and aspirations would be that we would have a superintendent, whether he or she, come into our district and immediately focus on data as opposed to graduation rates and try to turn those IR schools around before they get taken over by TEA. Thank you.
Excellent point, because a lot of the data becomes information to help improve graduation rate. So let's look at that for you.
Greetings once again, Damon, Barone, Alief ISD, parent, taxpayer, and alumnus. I think Alief does a great job, the community as well, does a good job of celebrating being an alumnus. The district does a good job of recognizing that we are proud of our community and proud of our district and tapping into our resilience of being Alief proud. So I think we do a good job with that, and the community does a good job of representing being proud for Alief. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, sir. Well, welcome Dr. Michael Hosa. If you said the words to the group there, all right?
Greetings, Damon, Barone, Alief ISD, parent, taxpayer, and alumnus. I've heard a couple statements out of you all that's very concerning. First one is you're not trying to make any changes. So me as a parent, I'm here, I'm looking for changes. So if you're not trying to make any changes, I've already shut down. You're not the right firm for us, because we don't want the same thing that we were. I personally don't want the same thing that I've had. That's why I started with the data with the Superintendent Chambers. So if another superintendent comes in not looking at data, I don't want that again. Some of the challenges is, I started off by saying 33% of our elementary schools are in IR, right? That's higher than the percentage of HISD. So I want a school district that's going to be transparent. I don't know how much you're paying PR for the news channels, but if HISD steps on the cricket in the dark, they make the news. Alief ISD, for some reason, never makes the news, and that's not being transparent. You stated that you wanted us to be transparent. So our district does a good job of gloating on the good things, but they hide the bad things. So it's kind of like having cancer. You hide it, you hide it, and you hide it. When you finally go to the doctors at the last minute, now they got to amputate something, or you're dying. Our district hides information from us. Our leadership hides information from us. We don't need that anymore. We need to know the good and the bad so that we can address it and or help change it. We can't change something that we don't know about. And then the Superintendent Chambers leaves, and all of a sudden our schools get taken over by our IR, and it looks like the new superintendent failed our community, and they did. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for your professionalism and for your directness. That's what we want. This entire process is driven by the data, and you gave us a data point, sir. Come on back up.
Greetings, Damon, Barone, Alief ISD, parent, taxpayer, and alumnus. I want to add to the growth too, things that the district does well. They do a great job of recruiting teachers and staff, etc. What they do not do a great job is retention. So based on the data that's presented, the educators don't feel supported, and then they're not receiving the promotion that they feel that they should. They get passed over by promotion. So that's something that another superintendent is going to have to worry about. When we talk about the strategic plan, which goes back to data, the district does a great job of collecting data, but they do a horrible job of making adjustments to those data. It's like the analogy. This gentleman, first gentleman here that came on Tuesday said he likes football. So your quarterback goes up to the line, he sees it's a blitz, but he runs the exact same play that you called in the huddle, and he doesn't make an audible. That it does us no good. We can't win like that. So if you're not monitoring data and you're just collecting data, you're not making any adjustments for it, it's useless. And that's why we continue to go in the direction that we have because we're one, not monitoring data, and then two, once we do obtain that information, they're not making any adjustments at the line. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments again in a professional manner. But yes, we all have to pivot all the time.
And this is when the meeting really gets good.
Greetings, Damon, Barone, Alief ISD, parent, taxpayer, and alumnus. I'm going to start out with some foundation. My grandfather, my mother's father, is Italian, so he's basically a white gentleman. My daughter's mother is Hispanic. She's from Panama. So I'm saying that to say, when I first came to Alief, Highway 6 was a two-lane road going north and south. Oil fields on each side, cows. I was one of 3 African-American families here, right? Predominantly white when we first came here. So I'm saying that to say now, Alief ISD has about 1% white, right? We got 100,000 voters, only 10% vote. We're 85% socially economically disadvantaged. Alief does a great job of catering to the 15% who generally are white, have money, but generally don't have kids in our school system. The Alief ISD Superintendent Chamber will go to their neighborhood association meetings, get the support that they need. I'm saying all that to say that we need a superintendent that's just as interested in catering to the 85% as they do the 15%. Talk a lot about the nice buildings are great, but when you got 33% 33% in IR, and 85% of your kids can't read at a 3rd grade level, the buildings don't mean anything to us. It's almost as if we're trying to go back to the old ways that we were and not addressing the ways that we are now. You get extra money off the 85% socially economically disadvantaged, but you don't use that money to educate our kids. I'd like to see more technology put into special education. They get more money for special education, but they don't put into special education. There's no reason why every single special ed class shouldn't have technology, smart boards, et cetera, because we receive more money for them. So I would personally like to see a superintendent that caters to all 100%, the 15% and the 85%, not just the 15%, because the 85% is carrying the district financially. We're 85% top heavy, 90% of our salary, 90% of the annual annual budget is spent on salary. So you're using the community for the money, but then you're not accommodating them. So that's why I started off by thanking y'all for making the adjustment to having a Saturday meeting for our community, because most of our community are working 2 or 3 jobs. They take the bus, so they can't get here in an hour. They can't take off work. If I had to take off work to come to this meeting, choose to take off work to come to this meeting, I wouldn't do it. If I had to travel from the east side of the district is 14 square miles. It takes about an hour and a half, maybe more, 2 or 3 buses to get from the administration building here, and that's only 4 miles. So we got to start catering to the individuals whom we're receiving the money for, and whom we're supposed to be educating and representing the total populace. Thank you.
Excellent points. Appreciate that. Brother Carrion, comment? Come on, sir, please.
Greetings, Damon, Barone, Alief ISD, parent, taxpayer, and alumnus. I personally want a superintendent that's going to come in. The board and the superintendent is going to throw around the word equity a lot. And after hearing this word used for the last several years, I want someone that's going to come in and define what equity is, because so far the leadership's definition of equity and what I think it's supposed to look like getting lined up. So I'd like somebody to come in and define what equity means to them, because clearly it means something different to me, and then give me some examples that I should be able to see of your word of equity in progress, because I'm not seeing that. Again, my ideals of equity is not lining up with what I'm hearing and seeing, so I'd like to know what their definition of equity is and what is that supposed to look like when I do see it. Thank you.
Excellent point. We throw a lot of terms out there in education. But we never really talk